Is gaming going to die? Hello, everybody. It's the Moldy Lemon. I don't typically make videos like this, but I got very inspired today while watching a video on YouTube, and I kind of just wanted to show you guys these videos I got going on. We'll do a little reaction, and then I'm going to give you kind of my opinion as we go along. But it seems like to me nowadays, people are very divided on games, especially modern games and stuff that's coming out. And as we look at the trends and CEOs and what's going on in AAA gaming, I think it becomes more and more obvious as to why things are taking just a downhill dive. Just an absolute tank, dude. These CEOs are so out of touch with what people want for games. It's absolutely insane. So I've got a video I'd like to go over with you guys. This is by LegendaryDrops, a dude I'm subscribed to. I've been watching him for a minute. He's a pretty popular YouTuber. He's got 465K subs or whatever. The title of this is So It's a Lot Worse Than We Thought. And I want to show you guys the thumbnail on this, actually. Hold on. Where is it at? Where is it at? Oh my god, this dude makes a lot of videos. Alrighty. Oh. He changed the thumbnail. This isn't the one that I clicked on. That's funny, dude. His newest thumbnail, it was like the Disney stuff from Fortnite. Alright. Alright, don't worry about it. We're just going to click play.
Normally in most cases, I like to stick and move, but today we're in a drama farm a little bit because the Epic and Fortnite situation is way worse than we thought that it was. Players, we get criticized all the time for being so cynical, for stereotyping the games industry, for saying things like they're unoriginal, that they lack talent, that all they want to do is produce slop and unfinished games, that all they are is motivated by greed. And time again, those players are proven right. And now it's gotten to the point where it's downright hilarious because it's getting to be so on the nose. Following the layoffs over at Epic, many of their employees came forward with a lot of words to share, and they explained and described a company that, well, has their games that are failing and their management that's panicking.
Who's surprised? I'm not surprised. Are you guys surprised? I mean, what are they doing over at Epic? Who's even opened up the Epic launcher, minus to play Fortnite or to get their free game? Like for the week or whatever they do. I don't know. I mean, I hear Epic is doing things, and I heard about the investment by Disney, but yeah. Yep. All right, let's continue.
That they're actually explicitly telling their developers to chase every trend. And most of their games aren't even finished when they launch, if they launch, and that's because their management is pushing a launch it now, fix it later mentality.
It's because they see other games that have grown successful doing this, so they think they can launch, get all the money that they can get, and then as they fix it throughout time, word of mouth will spread, and everyone will just buy the game and spend money on their microtransactions. It's just not, like, they're not looking at why these types of experiences are doing really, really well. Like, indie games that launch unfinished and then go on to make, like, a ton of money. Typically, they had a core that was already good. You know what I mean? Like, they had something that was there. But these AAA games, they launch, and it's just a broken, buggy, unfinished, horribly optimized mess. Oh. Hi, baby. All right, I'm back. Toddlers, everybody. Am I right? Okay.
And now, being in the position that the company is in, they are pinning their hopes and dreams onto the ass of Disney. Disney in 2026.
Love the way you said that.
Is it just me, or does it feel like in almost every entertainment industry right now, or basically every industry, everything is just a last-ditch effort? This will surely be the thing that saves us rather than themselves in a lot of these cases. Whether it's a lack of talent, care, or just an entire industry that has been taken over by the Peter principle, a bunch of people in positions that they just do not belong in. We are watching an industry that is throwing everything at the wall, and every time they do it, they dig their grave even deeper.
True. I mean, too, in Epic's case as well. I mean, like, what company wouldn't think that they'd bring in more money by using Disney IPs? You know, I mean, I think that's how a CEO would think. Like, oh, yeah, if we can use more Disney properties, we could make a game that would bring people in. But they're not thinking about gameplay first. They're thinking about IP recognition. They're thinking about characters. They're thinking about buying skins. They're thinking about all that moolah. I think the ironic part is that if, like, these dudes just realized that making a good game fundamentally without making a $150 to $350 million budget game, these guys would be winning. But expectations right now are blown out of proportion, and CEOs are only looking at things that they think will make money. They're out of touch with everybody else, dude. They absolutely don't understand gamers and people who love this media as people, you know, as a hobby, as a love for it, as something that, you know, we as gamers would love to see grow and do well. They're not thinking like us. They're thinking, oh man, what if I slap a Toy Story skin into that game? What if you could play as Jack Sparrow? Orlando Bloom? Oh my God. Okay, all right.
So today, I want to talk about what employees of Epic had to say about their company. Why Disney is the worst choice that they could possibly ever make to latch themselves onto, and why it feels like every single entertainment company is in a spiral of desperation. But before that, a word from today's sponsor, Raycon. Mother's Day is coming up, and if your mom likes to stay active, Raycon's bone conduction headphones
I've heard good things about Raycon.
I've been using these while I've been out walking around or going to the gym, and what makes these different is they sit outside of your ears instead of blocking them, so you can still hear music, a podcast.
Has anyone tried these just to ask?
Just shutting yourself off.
Let me know in the comments.
Around you. That's the part that I like the most. I can throw these things on while I'm moving around, and I'm still aware of traffic, people around me, whatever else is going on. It just feels a lot better than having your ears completely plugged all the time. They're lightweight, comfortable, they don't slip around, and they're actually built for day-to-day use. 13 hours of battery life, IP68 waterproof and dustproof, so sweat, rain, all of that, not going to be a problem. On top of that, comes in way more affordable than bigger audio brands. So you're actually going to get something that is genuinely useful, high quality, without actually paying an insane price for it. I could easily see a lot of moms getting real used to using these for walks, workouts, or just getting
Maybe I should get a pair for Lexi.
Click the link in the description or go to buyraycon.com.
We can start walking together.
LegendaryDrops BC to get 15% off. Thanks to Raycon for sponsoring today's
Maybe
video.
when I go to buy the stroller for the new baby, we'll get a pair of Raycons too.
Epic raised the price of V-Bucks, Fortnite's in-game currency. They claim
they raised the price of V-Bucks? Man, that's going to be a harder ask for mom and dad's credit card. That's going to be real tough. Raising the price of the V-Bucks. What are they going to get now with $10? Maybe they can't even get V-Bucks for $10 now, dude. Game be like, all right, you can't have a character skin for $10, but like, here's some shoes. I think Fortnite did that already, actually. Didn't they put like Nikes into the game or something ridiculous? I don't know. I don't keep up with Fortnite. Sometimes I launch it and I play it just because I do like the nature of the game, like the fast-paced shooting and the building and stuff. But I don't keep up with every season, all the skins and all that stuff. I don't know. They
needed the money to be able to help pay the bills. They then laid off 1,000 employees in an effort to find $500 million in cost savings. Tim Sweeney then explained it out, saying that, well, a lot of their recent games haven't worked out, development costs were rising, and Fortnite just wasn't bringing in the same level of players anymore. And I was skeptical because, well, $500 million is a lot of money, and a drop in Fortnite players alone is not going to be able to explain that all away. But now we are finally getting the fuller picture because employees from inside the company have started talking.
How does, okay, $500 million and they laid off 1,000 workers? 1,000 workers. That's insane. I feel like their salaries don't even come close to the budget that they're trying to get to. I mean, he's right. Something else is going on there, but it once again, it's just more brain dead decisions by these idiots running these companies. But
in an article from Bloomberg written by Cecilia De Anastasio titled "Epic Games Pins Fortnite Comeback on Disney Partnership," they first reiterate what a lot of us already know, while also noting that Epic has acknowledged recent Fortnite side releases, Ballistic, Battle Stage, and Rocket Racing, that have all failed and would be going offline in October.
Fortnite Festival, Battle Stage, and Rocket Racing failed? Oh my God. Who would, what? They failed? They're gonna go offline? They went offline? Oh my God, what a tragedy. Who saw that one coming?
Then they write, other splashy new initiatives, including Epic's mobile game store and an effort to allow users to create their own games, also did not live up to internal expectations, according to 8 current and former employees that spoke to Bloomberg.
Okay, I will admit, I think the create your own games thing, I'm shocked that didn't pan out better for them. I'm not saying this is a good company whatsoever, or that they make smart decisions, but if you were gonna make a smart decision, I would figure allowing people to make their own games in Fortnite kind of makes sense. You know what I mean? Especially because younger people are super into like Roblox and creating their own games on that or whatever. I will admit, it just seems to make sense. So, but it also says didn't live up to internal expectations. So maybe it did do really well too. But I mean, CEOs are probably like, why aren't our numbers quadrupled 5 million times more than what they were before? We let people make their own games. Blah, 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 blah. It should be bigger. I mean, it could be a case of that as well. You know what I mean? But
in chasing popular trends or business whims, Epic regularly released products before employees felt that they would resonate with customers, said the people who asked not to be identified because they were not authorized to speak publicly. The company is pinning its resurgence on games it's been developing with the Walt Disney Company, which agreed to invest $1.5 billion in Epic just 2 years ago. Epic is on track to launch the first of these games in its new Disney partnership in November. According to 4 current and former employees, it'll be a shooting game along the lines of Embark Studios' hit Arc Raiders, but with Disney characters battling enemies until they reach an extraction point.
Wait. So they want to make Arc Raiders, but with Disney characters? What? I don't understand. Why not just go play Arc Raiders? I see what they're doing. Does Epic have any original ideas, bro? I mean, if you guys think about it, Fortnite is literally... They just saw PUBG was popping off in popularity, and they took a game that was already being made, and they were like, all right, now make that. But they kept the building in it because they didn't want to destroy all the assets. I mean, I think that literally was like a way to save money on production once they went the Battle Royale way, right? And now they're seeing this Arc Raiders pop off in Marathon, and they're like, oh, we got this investment from Disney. Make an Arc Raiders game, but with Disney characters. And have it out by November. I want to be Buzz Lightyear trying to gather up all my loot, dude. I'm trying to fill my inventory. We're shooting instead of robots, it's like heartless like creatures from Kingdom Hearts. And they're guarding the loot. We gotta run in with I don't know, what's a we gotta run in with Lightning McQueen with the gat. Oh my God, dude. Brainless, bro.
To the people, so far, internal reviewers have expressed concerns that the game's mechanics are not very original, but some of the employees are optimistic that Epic will get it right by the launch date. The Disney deal will reap at least 2 more games, the people said. Earlier versions of the second title received middling internal reviews, according to 2 of the people. Resources for the third game were reallocated to the first 2 after reports that Disney was disappointed in Epic's release timeline.
You see what I mean here? I mean, they're not even making original products. And the investment company is like, why aren't these out faster? Why can't you make them faster? Make the game, make the money. And then when they come out, because Disney pushed them to make a game so fast, Disney's going to be like, I don't understand. We were promised 1,000,000 times more money than this. And then like on paper, like it'll like break even or just do better than like what the budget was. It's ridiculous. And we see this cycle happen all the time, dude. And it's what, quote unquote, is killing gaming, right? It's ridiculous. All right, let's keep going.
There has to be some kind of brain-eating
Love this game, by the way.
virus that's going around that only affects video game CEOs. It's exactly like I've said. There's not a single original idea that's left in this industry. These executives are all bots. Every single one of them. Error.
Okay, he's doing a bit right here, but I love that he showed that there's not like he's saying like these CEOs don't have a single original idea, or these companies, and then he shows off one of the most original, authentic, creatively done indie games. If you guys haven't played Mouse PI for Hire, y'all need to go play this game. It's incredible. And I guess that's the point, right? These smaller studios with way less budget, mind you, like way less budget, like they are not dropping $350 million to make Mouse PI for Hire. What was the budget? What was the budget? Let's find out, chat. Let's find out. All right. Mouse PI for Hire. Budget, or do I put in development budget? Let's just do budget. Yeah, no, it didn't give me. Hold on. For Hire, developer budget right there. Na. I can't even find how much they spent on the game. How much did Mouse PI for Hire cost to make? Oh, it has not been publicly disclosed. Okay. Okay. Well, what about... Here's one, right? Here's another one. Mega Bonk. Okay, well... Mega Bonk cost to make. All right, here we go. I love Mega Bonk. That game was one of the best game. And according to Google's AI, which who knows if it's correct or not, I'm going to have to look into that later. Mega Bonk, a smash hit solo indie developed indie roguelike, was made for an extremely low cost, likely under $1,000 for tools, despite generating over $1 million and over 18 million in estimated revenue. Less than $1,000 that game was made. Didn't need no $150 million to make Mega Bonk, bro. And yet, very profitable experience here. And I'd much rather play Mega Bonk, right, than some Disney Arc Raiders baloney. I'm telling you that right now. I'd much rather play Mouse PI for Hire than some AAA slop tomorrow. It's ridiculous.
Our game failed to resonate, resources depleted, deploying copy-paste countermeasures must make extraction shooter. Did you guys know that PlayStation is apparently working on yet another extraction shooter too? Yes, after the wild success of Marathon, they think the best move is to retool Fair Games, the would-be sequel to Concord, where the poor are stealing from the rich in a multi-billion-dollar corporate live service shooter with micro...
Oh my God. Does Sony not learn? Get out of the extraction games, dude.
Transactions into yet another extraction shooter. And now Epic is doing the exact same thing as everybody else, getting ready to push out their own version of Arc Raiders, but with Disney characters. Genius, really. I'm sure this is going to work out. Like, I mean, out of all partnerships you could pick, Disney? Serious?
We should place a bet on how long we think before the game's dead when it launches. Let's see, Disney characters, Arc Raiders. I literally give it 2 months. I give it 2 months. Y'all let me know in the comments where you want to place your bets. I got money on 2 months. 2 months before that game dies after launch.
Honestly, I mean, yeah, these guys have the money, but you're pinning your resources to what I view as the least relevant IP for anybody under the age of 40 or without a mental disorder. Nearly every single franchise and piece of media they have touched has been in the gutter for what feels like over a decade. They have largely ruined Star Wars. Post-Endgame, Marvel fell off of a cliff. Pixar feels like it's all just filler content. And then they, like every other creative industry, seem completely allergic to any originality, so they've just been pumping out all of these soulless, weird, message-heavy, live action versions of classic animated movies that we all loved, all in a bid to destroy whatever credibility they had left.
Dang. Brother is spitting such hard facts. It's crazy, bro. I mean, he's right, though, dude. There's no originality. They're trying so hard to get Marvel back up to a spot where it could be good again, and it's just not happening, bro. Like, I mean, you know, I'm gonna give their like next movies a shot or whatever, but if it's as bad as the other stuff, I'm pretty much done. I'm not gonna sit there and watch all these Marvel things get regurgitated to me over and over and over again. Yeah, and you look at like Pixar, man. Pixar used to be so deep, so relevant, so amazingly done, and it was a risk taken when they made the first Toy Story movie, you know? Like, it was a big risk. They did things that, like, no one else, like, would have done. And it paid off for them. And now in 2026, we're getting Toy Story 5, Toys versus iPad Kid or whatever, iPad. Who asked for this? You know who asked for this? It wasn't the customers. It wasn't us, the enjoyers of media and art and storytelling and video games, right? It was the company. The company said, oh shit, we need a way to get stockholders and investors to invest more money. We need more money this year. What should we do? Look around. Quick, make another Toy Story movie. Come on. They're like, well, what should it be about? And the CEO of Pixar walks over with a fishbowl. It's got ideas in it from all the middle-aged executives, and they take the guy who's directing the project. He reaches in the bowl, pulls it out, and he's just like, "Oh, the toys versus iPads because kids like technology more. That's a good story. Let's do that." And it really just hits home what he's saying, right? Like, what a weird partnership. What a weird company to have invest, right? I don't know. I mean, he's really got a point there. And then mental health issues. It really just feels like something like, I hate to say this, but like a sick in the head millennial is like, ooh, Disney. I like Disney. I played Disney Dreamlight, and it made me feel young again. I want to play Disney Arc Raiders. Either that once again, or it's a kid. But once again, that's relying on parents' money, right? And, I mean, I don't know. I feel like if you're a gamer and you're a parent, you ain't gonna put them on that slop, bro. Or you'll put them on that slop and you'll be pissed off a month later when they're not playing it anymore. Simply because, one, it's going to be a dead game. And two, they're going to lose interest. They're absolutely going to lose interest. Oh, well, anyway, sorry, I'm going on a rant.
Disney
Sorry.
is a dumpster fire, and you're parking it next to your landfill. And, you know, the best part about all of this is that the people inside the studio, the ones actually working on these games, they don't have faith in it. They're saying that the mechanics don't feel original, and the internal response has not been very positive. But do you think that's going to stop these guys? No, of course it's not. They've
Such a
made
good game.
commitment to Disney. They've made
one
a
he's
commitment
showing
to their shareholders, and originality. That's too nebulous, too time-consuming, too inconvenient for these executives to care about. So they're probably going to ship yet another game that players are going to largely ignore because it's not filling a need that they actually have right now, and it's also not using an IP that not a lot of people care about.
It's true.
Man, what happened to real leadership?
I love that line. What happened to real leadership? I used to love Star Wars, and if you had a Star Wars game or Star Wars stuff in anything, I would have jumped on it. Disney has destroyed Star Wars so much that I am like, I am only like lukewarm to the idea of anything Star Wars now. I mean, I get it that I'm 31 and maybe I shouldn't be super excited about space cowboys and space wizards with light swords or whatever. And I don't think my love for it would have died had things not been so bad. I think I would still love it and be excited for it. My favorite Star Wars IP right now is probably the Fallen Order, Fallen Order and Survivor or whatever. Yeah, with Cal Kestis, those games slap, dude. Absolutely. But do I have faith in like anything else outside of that? Well, Andor. I thought Andor was good. I don't know.
What happened to the hustlers and the sharks that were out there looking for the soft underbelly, who were looking for what everybody else was missing, who were trying to lead instead of follow? Because outside of the first year, if you don't move immediately or make something genuinely new, all you're going to get is diminishing returns.
But they don't believe in leading. They follow because that's where they think the money is. Why would they ever have to come up with something original, take a risk, and potentially make... See, that's the thing. They don't understand that if they were to invest in someone creative and bold enough to create something new, they could potentially make way more money than they ever possibly could by following, right?
Guys should know this better than anybody else. It's going to be every single release pulling fewer people than the last. They already watched this happen with Battle Royales. They were the reason for it. H1Z into PUBG, and then Fortnite retooled itself on the fly to catch the wave. It kept the building mechanic from when the game was supposed to be a survival title, and that one absurd defining mechanic set it apart from everybody else and helped send them to the top. That was lightning in a bottle, and they caught it right before the Battle Royale interest ever actually peaked. After that, everybody else that followed only got scraps, and scraps is all you're going to get with extraction shooters. These games, by their very nature, just do not have the same pull for the wide audience that a lot of these companies are looking for. If we're just running this by the numbers, Disney invested $1.5 billion into them. They're making 3 games. This is a $500 million game you're making. You're not going to be making that money back. People don't like having their time wasted. This is a genre for sweats, and most people aren't sweats. The only reason that Arc Raiders did as well as it did was because that game was more of a social experience than it was an extraction shooter. And while the game did well for a while, guess what? Lo and behold, it's fallen out of favor. It's lost 80% of its audience because games today, especially live service, people are just getting bored faster with each consecutive release. And all of these games are competing for the exact same attention. I just do not see a universe where a half-baked Disney ripoff of Arc Raiders finds an audience. And as it turns out, well, it's not the only thing that's half-baked.
You know, I do believe that's true. I believe people consume this stuff so fast and they get bored of this stuff so fast. They're always looking for the next thing, but it's like I don't know, man. It's like a drug, essentially. Like they get their high and it like lasts for a long time on this new game. And then they're like, oh, I got to get another fix. So then they go to the next thing that launched, right? But then this time it's like less time that they spend in the game. So they go to the next thing and then the next thing and the next thing and then the next thing. And it's just like never enough. We're like zooming through these games in absolutely no time at all. I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense. And we're not doing a deep dive on them anymore. Like we're not exploring everything the game has to offer. It's like you get in, you get the best loot, and then you get out, and then you're done. You tell people about it for like 1 week, and then, you know? I don't know. I just, yeah. I think maybe, too, it's why people are so divided on Crimson Desert. Crimson Desert is a deep, intriguing, interesting game with a lot of mechanics, a lot of things to do, a lot of exploration. right? And the reason why it doesn't sit well with some people, I mean, I'm just going to say it, right? Even though it's like the kind of like the old guy thing to say, but it's attention spans. It's like they just grab it and they sit there and consume, and then they like finish it, or they're done with it super fast, and then they want the next thing and the next thing, and then they just stop playing games altogether because they've consumed way too much, way too fast, way too soon. I don't know. It's amazing where things are going.
They would go on to write that Epic laid off several employees working on unannounced titles, spurring concerns from 3 former workers that people assigned to work on the Disney collaboration would be asked to adhere to an unrealistic schedule, part of a pattern that 7 current and former employees believe may have contributed to challenges at the company. Epic routinely released products in what some employees called version 0.5, the people said, suggesting that they were only half ready. You gotta
wow.
me. They would then go on to explain that Epic still likes to point back to Fortnite's pivot into Battle Royale back in 2017, where they turned the game around in just 10 weeks, using that as proof that this strategy works. But man, that's exactly what is wrong with people like this. Something works one time under a very specific set of circumstances, and they start treating it like it's the law of nature. Employees were very quick to point out that this approach does not work the same way basically anywhere else, especially with the Epic Game Store, which they criticized for launching without basic features, still lacking those same basic features even today, and it only being marginally profitable because people are only showing up for free games and leaving. And according to the same reporting,
I mean, I get where they're coming from, right? Like, hypothetically, it's like, well, we did it with Fortnite. And it's like, yeah, but that was one time, dude. That was one time. And it's not like you can't do that for other games. But now the mindset is being applied to every single project that they make. And they're like, I don't understand why we're not making triple, quadruple profits. It's because you're trying to repeat the same thing over and over and over again. Like he said, you caught lightning in a bottle. You caught magic. And you might be able to recreate it, but you can't use that as a strategy. Like, you just can't. Disney characters in an Arc Raiders type game. Maybe I'm crazy. Does anyone else find that appealing? I'm just willing to bet nobody does, dude. I just don't think anyone does.
This has now become common practice based on the whims of executives. The AI Darth Vader update and other recent additions were pushed out riddled with bugs, shipped whether they were ready or not, and instead of letting developers actually clean those things up, Epic has been reportedly building a mountain of technical debt by routinely mass deleting the company's backlog of bug reports, even when the issues were never resolved. Epic's head of global communications responded to this by saying, "We explicitly build ambitious things, ship quickly, and improve with time."
They're just deleting the bug reports? Oh my God. They're just like, hey, have you checked the recent bug reports from newest game? Epic employee is like, yeah, it's full. I'm just going to go ahead and hit delete and let it stack up again. Oh, okay.
Moving fast is the optimal trade-off for the kind of games that we're making nowadays. It's normal to close low priority and low impact bug reports without fixing them.
It's normal.
It's normal, really. I couldn't tell. I don't think that anybody else could. This drives me insane. Am I the only one that sees the self-defeating spiral here? These guys are going to try to mass-produce games, half-finished games, while mass-deleting their backlog of issues, spending $500 million a game, and then they're going to, when they start getting crushed by the weight of their mistakes, they're going to lay off the people that they need to fix those issues while pinning all of their hopes on Disney, a brand that is basically the most toxic thing in all of entertainment. These guys deserve everything that's coming their way.
100%. Epic is going to burn. And I'm not going to be sad about it. I'll tell you that much with the way they're handling and operating things.
Everything that's coming their way. This is not going to work. They lucked into the success that they've had, and for nearly a decade, they haven't been able to do a damn thing else. These executives are talking like how this is the solution, or this is the secret to their success. But my question is, where exactly are all of those successes? Because I'm not seeing them. I see a middling storefront. I see an engine that has plagued the industry with performance issues. And I see a nearly decade-old live service game that's losing relevance. So where are the other games? So that's right. They didn't come out. Unless you're talking about the games that you bought, like Fall Guys and Rocket League. I don't know what's going on here. This is a company that stumbled into such a massive success that it pulled the rest of the industry with them.
Stumbled into massive success is such a beautiful line for Epic. I mean, it really is. Because then they once again caught lightning in a bottle, caught magic, and now they're just like, they think they're this top dog because they made all this money through Fortnite, but they haven't done anything else, dude. They've done nothing, and then they're gonna make Arc Raiders Disney characters? Bro, brain dead CEO is right, man. Brain dead CEO is right.
And they didn't learn a single good lesson from it. Not a single thing. They didn't see, oh, we did something different that made us stand out, that made people want to play our game. No, instead, they said, well, we caught a trend, and then we did it as quickly as possible.
And we're going to do it again.
That's why these guys haven't been able to do anything else. They're stuck in that executive mindset where it's all timelines, it's all trends, it's all models and engagement and things of that nature, not actually asking the logical question, which is, why was Fortnite successful at all? This just keeps happening, and it keeps getting worse. And, you know, this is now happening to some of the biggest publishers on the planet in basically every single industry that we're seeing across all of entertainment. And you have all these guys that haven't been able to reiterate on their success or move on from it in a lot of cases. And the word industry has effectively just taken over the industry. That's really what it is. The games industry, the entertainment industry, it's more about the industry itself rather than it is the actual medium that these guys are representing.
Ooh.
And the real issue is it's middle management.
I love that. It's more about the industry than the medium itself. Almost like gatekeeping in a way. You know what I mean? Beautifully said.
It is management that is trying to force outcomes out of a machine that's already broken.
He says middle management, but like I understand that, but middle management probably wouldn't be doing half the shit they're doing if the people above them weren't demanding it at a certain time or a certain way. I mean, he calls out middle management specifically. I mean, I think he had it right when he was aiming for the CEOs and the top dogs, the shareholders, investors. Why are you going to go blame a middle manager? I mean, I get it. They took the job, but someone was going to take it, right?
I don't know if anybody else has noticed this. I haven't really seen too many other people talking about it directly, but it feels like nearly every entertainment industry is in panic mode right now. I think that you can most clearly see it in video games, likely because we're more invested in them and we interact with them a lot more directly, but it's all over movies and television too. We are watching some of the biggest and most successful companies in entertainment execute layoffs at a wild rate while also desperately throwing everything they can at the wall, hoping that something sticks. And the more these guys do it, the more it becomes very obvious that they're not solving any problems. They're just digging their hole even deeper. I mean, Disney, the company that Epic is now pinning their future on, is also cutting staff and talking like these guys are trying to fight to survive. You see this everywhere. Remakes, remasters, live adaptations, sequels, beloved franchises that are getting dug up from the grave again and again because the people that are running these companies just do not seem capable of creating the next thing, only just recycling the last thing that worked. I mean, we are getting a new Lord of the Rings movie, probably an entire full trilogy, and a
Lord of the Rings, The Hunt for Gollum. I knew Gollum would be big again. Y'all were wrong for hating on the Gollum video game. Now we gonna get a new movie called The Hunt for Gollum. Everything's coming up Gollum. Oh my God. He's right though. I mean, dude, it's like every time the company with big brand names starts to go under because they can't make new stuff, it's like, quick, grab that old IP, that thing that people love, and let's just do that again. but worse.
Harry Potter television show on top of that. And look, I like both of these series. A lot of people do, but nobody is asking for this because these stories themselves are demanding it. No, it's these companies that are trying to bring up familiar brands so it can potentially save them. That's all this is. And everybody knows, everybody can see it, because the goal is not to actually create anything new or anything with originality or even quality for it to stand on its own. No, it's to squeeze more money and more relevance out of something that people already loved. And I think that's part of a deeper problem. Entertainment has been industrialized for so long and filled with so many people that have nothing but business logic to be able to offer for so long that a lot of these companies just genuinely do not know how to win people over with originality anymore. They don't know how to build a real audience. So instead, I think these guys are trying to manufacture one.
It's because the reason being is that originality isn't practiced within these companies. I mean, clearly. If it was a practice thing like it used to be, then we would have more originality, more original ideas, more original concepts. But these companies don't let anybody practice that anymore or do something like that anymore. How can you be original if you've spent X amount of years at a company and the company keeps telling you to do the same thing that the other guys are doing? It's not going to happen. If you're a storyboard director, you're going to be like, oh, well, let's do it like this because this works. You know?
They are fine with making content worse because they are actively trying to lower the bar of expectations for future generations. They mute creative vision, they push more content faster, they spread a net as wide as possible and hope that the sheer volume is going to just do the job that quality used to do. And yeah, I know some people are going to be like, oh, well, we need to immediately drag this into a culture war territory or something like that. I'm not going to say that none of that stuff exists.
I mean, why? When you could be like, well, I mean, the game sucks, but you can play as Nemo and collect loot and extract out. You can get a blue shotgun with Nemo.
But I am going to say that I think the bigger issue is a bit more uglier than that. I don't think that these people are trying to politically reprogram you. I think they're just trying to flatten you into a consumer who will take anything.
Exactly.
If the standard gets low enough, then eventually low quality starts feeling normal. Eventually bad starts being good at one point.
I mean, imagine if we didn't have indie studios and we were the only video games you could play were this AAA stuff where the quality was like this Disney Arc Raiders game that's bound to come out, right? Then when this game comes out in November, you're so used to all these bad titles. If things have progressively gotten worse, you're going to be like sitting there clapping like, oh, I love Lion King. I can play as Simba. Man, I love this. Yes. And then the next Disney game comes out and then you're clapping once again because you're like, recognizable IP character. Oh, man, I love recognizable IP character.
That's the game these guys are in right now. It's
ridiculous.
A race to the bottom. And I think a lot of these companies are now finding out that they're going to run out of money a lot faster than we're going to run out of self-respect.
True.
All this just feels like unoriginal, untalented, uncreative people that are forcing themselves way too deep into an industry that they just do not belong in. And because they're not adding anything of value, these guys are just justifying their existence by trying to make themselves more and more central to the process. And the more ingrained these guys get, the more they just destroy everything around them. They're not serving the medium because they can't, so they just start bending everything to be able to make sense to them. And that ends up being some of the most lifeless stuff we could possibly see or play in the case of video games. Honestly, this kind of reminds me of the Phyrexians of Magic the Gathering, the invasive species that looks at life as something that is messy and inefficient, so their answer is to cut pieces off and replace it with metal. They're trying to complete them and call it a blessing, and that's what this feels like. It's improvement, but it's improvement that is just trying to flatten everything, homogenize it, and make it dead inside. And just as similar, it has now become a war of life against the machine that is trying to consume it. And like most stories, life is a chaos that you can't control, and we are seeing that very vividly.
This guy is so well spoken, but also, I think companies are going to do this until, like, I think AI is going to be very big with these companies, and I think they're going to push out all this AI slop. And my prediction, personally, is that so long as indie developers and smaller studios keep doing what they're doing, all of our money for gaming is going to go to them, and it's not going to go to the slop that they push out. And then CEOs are going to start whining and complaining. They're going to be like, I don't understand. We gave you video game Why aren't you guys happy? Why aren't you guys buying? Why aren't we making money anymore? I genuinely think if this keeps going the way it's going, right? Like they just keep pumping out this slop or whatever, and indie teams keep making great stuff. I think the new big companies are actually going to be these indie game developers. I think these indie guys are going to make studios with reasonable budgets, amazing titles, and I think they're going to be the new big name players. I don't think it's going to be the typical companies anymore that we've been with, like the last 20 years, 20 something years. You know what I mean? Or the last 10 years, whatever it is. I mean, that's just my prediction. Either that or it really does go into slop territory. And yeah, I don't know. I really don't want to think about the other side of that, but yeah.
In the games industry right now, the corporatization of the games industry is actively destroying it. I just don't know what other conclusion that I'm supposed to come to at this point. Every single time one of these executives get in front of the media, it's the same language. It's the same priorities, the same empty obsessions, iteration, speed, investment, engagement.
Multiplayer games.
None of this stuff has anything to do with games as a hobby, the creativity of their developers, or even the customer in a real way. We are barely even a part of the equation. We are not the focus of the outcome. We are just the one thing that they hope falls in place after all of their projections and systems do. And when I hear something like it's normal to not fix bugs, that deleting entire backlogs of unresolved issues is somehow a part of just how they make games today, that's one of the clearest signs of middle management rot that I could possibly think of. With or without any context here, this is a company that is telling you that quality is not a priority.
Okay, I see what he's saying. I mean, so they have deadlines and stuff. Okay, so middle management rot. That makes sense. So it's probably a middle manager decision just to be like, yep, delete the backlogs. But like, once again, maybe middle management wouldn't be doing this if it didn't start at the top. I really don't want to focus. I love this guy, by the way. I think he's very articulate. I think he's got amazing points. But I just think that it starts from the top, because I think the guys in the middle and below would care a lot more and wouldn't come up with these solutions. Like deleting the backlogs, right? If it didn't come directly from above them. We need the game now. We need it faster. We need you to clear storage. We need more money saved. It's just... Yeah.
The experience is not the priority. They believe that speed matters more than the experience of players or whatever you're going to actually have. And worse, they also believe that they are the arbiters of how much inconvenience, frustration, and broken shit that we are willing to tolerate. That's corporate entropy. That's exactly what this is. And that's what happens when a company, or in this case, an entire industry, is getting hijacked by management instead of the people who are actually making games. Notice how none of these conversations have anything to do with game development itself. Just start asking the obvious questions here. Why do they need to release so many games? Why do they need to release them unfinished? Why do they need to release them so quickly? Why are they so desperate to chase trends? Why are they trying to money first and then figure out these games later? Every single question is going to come back to the same answer. It's executive pressure. It's shareholder pressure. It's money over everything.
Yep.
In an industry like this, that mentality just does not hold up forever. Maybe you get lucky once. Maybe you hit the lottery with something like Fortnite, but eventually it's going to catch up to you, because your entire way of thinking has nothing to do with creating anything new or even creating something of value or something good. It's all about building systems for revenue. The problem is those systems don't mean a damn thing if the games underneath them are weak, or better yet, don't even exist. You can see this same rot everywhere throughout the entire games industry. Games are getting more expensive to make for reasons that barely have anything to do with players or what we actually even care about. It's about prettier graphics or more cinematic presentation, celebrity voice actors, more spectacle, more marketing, more of everything except the part that actually matters most, which is the game itself. So much of modern gaming feels like it's being filtered through what an executive understands, what looks expensive, what sounds expensive, at least in a meeting, what actually helps them sell this illusion of scale to their investors, instead of what actually makes people want to sit down and play that game. And I think that's a big part of the reason why so many of these companies are overspending and over-delivering, and then now actually having to lay off and spin their wheels so much. Too much of modern game design feels like it's being shaped by people who understand meetings, projections, and optics more than they understand why players actually show up to play a video game. So when their product fails, they don't know how to fix it because, well, they were never actually focused on the right things to begin with. And that's where the broader sense of this desperation starts to creep in, because once that money gets burned on the wrong priorities, the only thing they have left to do is panic. I have come to the sobering realization that many of the brands and franchises and forms of media and whatever else that we grew up with that we thought would stand the test of time are likely not going to be around as long as we probably once assumed.
It's kind of crazy because, like, when I was like a teenager and a young adult, these companies would put out games. I mean, not Epic specifically, but these companies would put out games, all the big names that have been around for a while, and I'd be like, oh my God, it's amazing. They've really outdone themselves. I can't wait to see what they do 10 years from now, 5 years from now. Their games are going to be so incredible, and it's just like, it's not shaping out to be that way. Instead of like getting an experience that's like even higher than like any other experience you've had with that particular game company, it's like just what they know how to do over and over and over and over and over again. And it's like now we're craving just genuine gaming experiences over like, you know, like what the next level of gaming is. You know what I mean? That's just how I feel about it.
None of this stuff is getting better. That's kind of the whole point of the reason why I was making this video. Usually I try to give the, positive view on some of this stuff, and there is a positive view in some cases, but this is just the definition of insanity. These guys have no idea what they're doing. They don't understand or don't even comprehend the consequences of their actions, especially the long-term consequences of their actions, and they just keep doing the same thing over and over again. And in some cases, at faster and faster rates. These guys are effectively destroying their reputation, but not only just them as a company, but also the products themselves in a lot of cases. This is something that is going to affect future generations of consumers. You have people that are coming up today that are not going to know Bungie for Halo. They're going to know Bungie for Marathon. They're not going to know Blizzard for Warcraft. They're going to know Blizzard for Diablo 4. They're not going to know Lord of the Rings as the greatest trilogy.
The Hunt for Gollum.
Film. They're going to know it for the Rings of Power or whatever these other garbage movies they're going to put out are. They're not going to know Harry Potter for anything other than being AI-generated brain rot memes. You're going to drip warts, Harry. That stuff was actually really funny.
I have been trying not to watch AI videos whenever they come up in my feed or whatever, just because I don't want to support it. But God damn it, it is so hard not to watch the ones where they type in a character from like Harry Potter or Lords of the Rings or Star Wars skateboarding. It's like Darth Vader doing a skateboarding video. Darth Vader's like kick flipping and doing tail slides in the Death Star. Gandalf is like ripping lines through God, Gondor, it's just Hey, what are you doing? You're not a kitty. Hey, baby, I need you to go sit on the couch because I can hear the tabby. Here, give me a hug. I know. I made you noodles. Well, you're going to have to eat some of those. I'll be out in a little bit, okay? I love you. Toddler attack again. All right.
Very few of these companies are actually making anything of value. They're not making anything meaningful. And because of that, they themselves are starting to become meaningless. That's the reason why a lot of these guys are panicking right now. That's the reason why they're trying to do as much as they are. It's the reason why they're trying to spend as much as they are. Because they think if they throw more monkeys at the problem, then that light bulb will get squeaked in fast enough or something like that. I forgot what the analogy is. I'm terrible with analogies. I just make up my own most of the time.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, bro.
Just the natural order of things. And we just really haven't seen much of it through our lifetime, or at least maybe through my lifetime, I guess. But this desperation, I don't think I've really seen it from very many other companies in a lot of.
Well, in a way, it's almost like new waters, right? Like we've never had this much progression with technology and where we are with video games. Graphics are more demanding than ever. Coding and hiring coders is never been a higher price. Hardware itself is more expensive now than it ever has been. So that's the hardware. Baby, I will open it in a little bit. Please go sit down. No, go sit down. I will open it in a little bit. I'll be done in a little bit, I promise. Jesus. Oh, she's mad. Hardware is more expensive than it ever has been. Then you got to buy the hardware for the people making the game, right? But then you also have to expect the consumers to buy the hardware. And we've never been here before. So, like, how, it's very clear where that desperation is coming from, because like they didn't predict this. They thought they would just put out the slop and we'd buy it. And that'd be it. Put out the slop, we'd buy it. And it's not working anymore. It's not, and it won't continue to work. Remember, y'all, vote with your wallet. It's the most important vote that you could possibly have with this kind of crap.
Cases. But this,
AKA, do not buy the Disney Arc Raiders game. Let some stupid streamer, let some idiot like me stream it, show you guys what it is, and when you watch it and you go, oh yeah, that's pretty mid. And then you see my reactions where I'm like, this is stupid slop. Or watch your like a review on YouTube.
Could just be the death
that type
throes.
of thing.
Could just be evolution taking place in front of us. These guys are scraping and scrounging, trying to get and find relevance, burning and torching as much money as they possibly can in a feat to be able to achieve it. But it doesn't matter because they lost the ability to create anything new. And because of that, the only people that will succeed, the people that will find success, are the ones that do still create something new. The only thing that makes these guys be able to hold on to any relevance, I think in some cases, and this is probably something that's more true for movies and television than it is for video games, is that they still need the production companies in some cases, the Warner Brothers or the Fox or maybe even Disney in some cases. So these guys will still be able to stick around at least in some fashion, but their own original content will largely just stop existing. The problem for the games industry is, though, they don't need a middleman. They can go right around you. So, I don't know. I'm interested to see where all this is going to go. I did not think things at Epic were this bad. I really didn't. But am I going to act surprised? Absolutely not. What do you guys think about all this? Tell me what you guys think about this story. What do you guys think about what's going on with Epic? What's going on with other media and movies and television and music and whatever else? Maybe I'll talk about those kind of things at one point in time. I'm just kidding. You guys have plenty of people to talk about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm out of here. Stay cool. Stay righteous. Stay safe.
All right, I'm gonna link this video in the description, y'all. I think that was an excellent video. I thought it was amazing, personally. How long is this video? 9 minutes? Yeah, we got another 9-minute video. Yeah, man. I mean, it's pretty clear what's going on here. I think you guys should go give this a like, give Legendary Drops a sub, dude. But I mean, the question really is, when does it end, right? When does it end? Oh, I was going to include a second video with this video, but all right, I'm going to go do some things. I'm going to come back. I'm going to edit this together, and we're going to jump into NightlyHarbor's video, which I'm not subbed to. Maybe I should give him a sub. And it's entitled Gaming Keeps Getting Worse. And I just really liked his thoughts on it, so I wanted to react to his piece bit by bit and kind of show you guys what he's saying. So, and it ties into this first video. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. We're going to jump into NightlyHarbor's video. We're going to see what he has to say about the whole, his thoughts on gaming, which is the title of his video is Gaming Keeps Getting Worse. So, let's jump into that.
Genuinely think gaming is about to get worse, like significantly worse, and not just bad launches. I mean more concords, more financial disasters, more games that feel completely disconnected from
Well, yeah, we just heard Sony's investing in another extraction shooter.
reality. But weirdly, I also think we are headed towards one of the best eras gaming has ever seen. Why? Well, a best friend of mine had this kind of, let's call it a game industry theory that he mentioned a few years back. I think it's been like 2 or 3 years since he brought this up, and it's only recently resurfaced in my brain because of, I hate to kick a dead horse, but Concord and Highguard, and you know what? I get a ton of hate for it, but I'm sick of being scared. Marathon, all right? Those 3 games have made me think of this theory. So what's this theory? Well, it's pretty straightforward, really. There's more and more light that's being shed on the higher-ups, the executives, the CEOs, etc. And when it comes to a bad game, the eyes of blame are now shifting away from developers or the company and are being moved to those higher ups like Pete Parsons, Bobby Kotick,
Exactly.
and so on. And the shift
Sweeney. Jesus.
And the shift in blame
Jesus
is
Christ.
bigger than most people think, because it's changing how we perceive accountability. You know, who's taking on that blame.
Yeah.
And we're seeing this in things like Game Awards speeches.
That's why I disagreed with Legendary Drop's point about middle management, because like someone was going to fill that job no matter what, right? But they have to come up with solutions based on what this guy up here and all the investors are asking. Otherwise, they're going to be part of that 1,000. So yes, they are a problem, but the bigger problem that we need to hit home with is up here. Once again, these guys up here.
I don't know if you remember the Baldur's Gate 3, I believe it was CEO of Baldur's Gate. He gave that very powerful speech during the Game Awards about how we got to stop laying off our developers, start paying them properly, and so on and so on. We're seeing the blame shift to higher ups and CEOs and things like gaming journalism, articles in that space, and also just developers speaking out on X and other social media platforms, and so on and so on. Circling back, my buddies.
I don't even think people are listening to game journalists anymore. It's more content creators on like YouTube, Twitch, Kick. You know, people are hearing what they say because they're actually sitting there playing the game and diving into it. And these game journalists, they don't even know what they're talking about. Would they give Crimson Desert a 6 out of 10? Like, ridiculous, right? But
theory states that we will see a gaming renaissance in the next 10 years. Well, kind of. He didn't really give like a timeline. I'm just saying 10 years to put like a timestamp on it. But I think once you hear it, you'll be like, oh, 10 years, I could see that. And within that timeline, you know, in those 10 years, we will see bangers come out. We will see more and more excellent games. And we may already be seeing this within the...
Yeah, we are. I mean, that ties into my theory that I said earlier in the video, right? So I agree with this theory. I truly think that smaller studios that are getting there, we're going to see more of these mega bonks, these more mouse PI for hires. We're going to see, I mean, just all these indie studios I think are going to come up. They're going to become bigger studios, and they're going to be more reasonable with the way they approach making games. And we're going to forget about these other companies that are making brain-dead decisions. We're seeing this slowly happen throughout time, and I just don't see these big companies succeeding anymore unless they learn lessons and apply them. But they're not. They haven't been. So it's kind of hard to say, like, well, you know, maybe they'll learn and stick around, but... they got to adapt. They got to learn. And it's like what he was saying about the Baldur's Gate CEO or whatever. You need someone who's willing to invest money into someone who can make something original, someone with a proper vision, someone who loves video games, someone who plays video games, someone who, you know, is not just looks good, you know, as an industry person, but someone who is literally in the medium itself. You know what I mean?
In the last 4 years, we've seen games like Baldur's Gate 3, which is the furthest thing from chasing any trends. We see.
Yeah, and what was that quote? That quote that like went around when Baldur's Gate 3 was so successful. They were like, "You don't expect that top tier or that quality for other game studios." Blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, because you idiots just want to pump out slop, and you expect us to be stupid and just buy it. You expect us to be stupid.
Games like Elden Ring, which is a great example of a studio doubling down on something they're already really good at. We're seeing this in Silksong, Expedition 33, and so on. The list, it's pretty big. But Nightly, why? Why will we see more fantastic bangers like these previously mentioned games?
Right.
Especially when everything in the gaming industry seems so bleak. I mean, especially...
Not everything. I mean, once again, everyone's talking about indie games. They are, dude. Indie games are where it's at right now. And games like, I mean, like you got Crimson Desert, which isn't indie, right? But that one is so heavily divided, and I have theories on that. But, I mean, that's a quality game. Baldur's Gate was a AA game, quality. Okay, I don't remember what stupid tangent I was on or whatever. I had to help my wife out. I'm just gonna resume.
In the last 2 years, it is just dickered. Well, the execs will be, you know, moving away, and people probably a little older than me will hopefully move into these positions of power, these, you know, higher up positions in these gaming companies. People who actually understand what the consumers want, what gamers want.
I think that's the best case scenario for these companies that are making these stupid decisions, right? But the reality, I personally think, the more likely scenario is that these game companies will dissolve if they don't adapt. That's my theory, personally. I don't think that we can be hopeful about someone with better direction will step in, because people, like Legendary Drop said, the underlining factor is money. And so long as that is the current mindset, I don't see this happening, personally. I think it's going to be new companies that carry the mindset he's talking about already. Started from the ground up with basic titles that didn't cost $150 million budget-wise to make, and they worked their way up, And
like I said before, more and more people are realizing that the execs and shareholders are the real creative directors. So if those roles are filled with people slightly older than me who understand what gamers want and are more consumer focused, then in theory, that should lead to better games. And to be more specific, people a little older than me are in the medium where they know what younger gamers want because they themselves were once in or still fall in that range. And they, in theory, should understand what makes the current game space so mediocre and bad at times, thus leading to them making better games than what we have now.
I think this goes into creative direction. I think someone who wants to make a very specific game. I mean, look at Peak. Peak can be played by all ages, right? And I think it's experiences like that. I don't necessarily think it's some dude being like, what do kids want? What do younger gamers want? I don't think it's that at all, but I think it all comes down to, once again, investing in someone who's willing to put something original out into the world. Someone who's willing to take a creative risk and try something new.
It's a great sounding theory, one that I subscribe to, and it instills hope. But he left out one detail, one piece of information that I would like to append to his theory.
Jesus Christ.
So the gaming industry is
this guy's a gassy guy, man.
$1 trillion, rough estimate, $500 billion industry. And his theory really looks at the good side of people, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's a side to this coin that we are landing on more and more often. Sure, more great games will come out, but more bad games will come out too. Very, very bad games. But why?
Yeah.
Well, my appended section to his theory is that, yes, some of these new CEOs and execs will have the consumer in mind. New companies and indie teams will be founded, and those people will understand what we want. But there's going to be just as many, if not more, bad games.
Yes, because these companies have to put them out and then burn down, all the way down to the ground because of it, before we get anywhere. So you're right. I would agree. I think Nightly's right here.
And honestly, I think we might be in that era right now. More and more monumental failures are appearing out of the woodworks because there is a $1 trillion industry, well, $500 billion, that more and more companies are trying to prey on. So many people are trying to get their slice of their pie, a slice of that million. I mean, even a small percentage is in the millions of dollar range.
Yeah, let me get some of that extraction shooter Disney Arc Raiders money, bro. Let me get some of that.
Why do I think we're in the bad games era? What's my kind of, how do I see this? Well, first, there's live service oversaturation. I am getting so sick of live service slot being announced.
We could call it the bad game era, but that's just not the reality of it. I think we're in the start of the gaming revolution era. I think we're starting to see what games people are really interested in. I mean, once again, they said Baldur's Gate. Don't expect that type of quality from our studios, right? That was a quote. Or like back when EA said single player games are dead. I think personally, people are finally starting to dig deep and get into better games. I think we're not putting our dollar into every Call of Duty that drops, every Fortnite skin that comes out. I think we're finally starting to aim our money to projects and games that deserve it. I could be wrong, but I truly think that's where the direction is. I think it's the start of something amazing. not necessarily viewing it as like the bad game era. I think that's a bad term to put on it, but I mean, I see where he's coming from, right? Because all this slop does have to come out in order for these studios to burn down, but I don't know. I guess I'm viewing it glass half full, you know?
And right. We're also seeing more and more high-profile studios chasing trends, things like extraction shooters or whatever else, whatever worked last year.
Disney Extraction.
One. I see so many people try to capitalize on that Souls-like market. Of course.
Yeah, and it didn't work out, did it? The first Berserker Kazan was an amazing Souls-like studio shut down. Wu Chang was a decent Souls-like studio shut down. Tragic. Absolutely tragic. But they were chasing trends, dude.
There's the obvious one, shareholder pressure. But the one that people don't really talk a whole lot about is budgets. These games are getting stupid expensive, massive budgets. Like Concord Are we serious? Really? $400 million?
Yep. We were talking about that.
Something called risk aversion, which is a term I've only recently learned. But risk aversion basically means that when a game costs $300 million to make, then you don't take risks. That's $300 million. You don't experiment. You don't innovate. You chase what already worked because you want that money back.
Yeah, but that reminds me of like why the PS2 era and the 360 era were so good. It's because the budgets weren't at $400 million, right? Studios were given a reasonable budget and they were willing to experiment because of it. But companies think they're going to make quadruple their money back on something that costs $400 million. And it's like, what did you expect? There's a way to push this medium forward without investing $500 million. You know? I don't know. I just like those eras when they experimented and they took their budget, right? Like they took that small budget and they pushed it to its limits. They creatively tried different things. You know, they had tricks. They had optimization tricks. They had design tricks. And now it doesn't seem like any of that. It's just like, just take Unreal Engine and shove it at the player. And that's where all the budget went to because they didn't have that limited resource. They had all the resource. So instead of being smarter about things and having the time to develop these optimization and design tricks and all this stuff, it's like they just wiped away the magic and it shoved graphics in your face. Or whatever it is, you know.
The same reason you have 5 different studios trying to make the exact same game. And it's easier than ever for entry-level designers to make games with things like Game Maker, which is great. More junior coders can get involved, pursue that dream of creating your own video game, and try to make some more small-level games born from passion like Stardew Valley. Sounds fantastic. But that low level of entry just means so much slop. And don't get me wrong, I love an indie game made by a solo dev. The passion is there. I love it. But
I think he's talking about the people who see solo devs doing really, really well, so they just create a project simply to make an asset flip. I really don't think these guys apply. I don't. I really don't think they're making that much money. I don't think they're even a discussion, to be honest with you.
I am seeing so much like AI generated art, so many assets pulled from who knows where.
On Steam alone, if you scroll on the page, it'll tell you exactly what's AI generated. I don't know if it's required from these developers to disclose that, but it 100% should, number one. And number two, it should be as specific as possible. But I mean, we're already seeing that now. Like, I mean, there was one instance where they used like one picture, and in the description of the Steam game I was looking at, it told you exactly what picture, what part of the level, and what it did. It was like, oh, yeah, there's a picture hanging up on this level, and it was AI generated. And, I mean, some of these companies in those AI descriptions, too, it also lists like, we plan on replacing this with actual artwork or something like that. I mean, and once again, if we're talking about people who are just doing asset flips, I don't even think they're part of this discussion because that's a whole separate thing from people who need the resources. Once again, to use these AI tools as, an optimization or design trick, essentially, to make you be like, oh, like I didn't even notice, or, like it could have not been AI or whatever.
So many games that are like, I've seen so many games like Observation Duty, so many clones. I mean, it's everywhere. Ugh. And outside of entry-level coders, we need.
Yeah, but let them make their asset flip slop, dude. They're not getting anywhere. They're not. And if one of them accidentally happens to like get $1 million in sales or whatever, I doubt they're gonna make another game. Or if they do, then they're gonna invest in some company that sits there and asset flips. But those games won't make money. It's very simple, right? Don't buy slop. It's the same thing for these big companies we were talking about earlier, right? You don't give the big game money, the game company no longer makes said games, right? The company burns down. People make slop. People make a lot of slop and make asset flips. Don't give them your money. They will continue to not make slop. I think it's just that simple. And if they do in hopes of catching any money or whatever, then like, once again, just don't buy it. Just don't buy it. They can sit there and they can try all they want.
You go up the chain of command and start looking at like the big dogs, you start to see that it's just so easy to sell an extremely idea. You can convince any publisher you want to invest in a false promise. High guard. Because, you know, it's like a carrot on a stick. When you hold that carrot in front of a publisher promising a slice of a $500 billion industry, they will salivate. You know what I mean? I mean, they want that. And gamers are starting to see this too. I have never seen people more critical and more analytical than I have now, which is a double-edged sword. On one side, it is fantastic to see people doing their own research, paying attention to performance and optimization metrics, listening to early reviews. But on the other side, the far more rusty side of that sword, is also an industry that is so volatile. I see so many people counting a game dead before it's even launched. And that was a big thing with Marathon. In fact, in today's world, I would argue that.
Were they wrong, though? Were they wrong, though?
Just off of internet discussion and, you know, kind of the atmosphere around a game, you can tell pretty quickly and predict whether a game will hit the ground running like Crimson Desert, or if it's just going to stop dead in its tracks like High Guard. And admittedly, though, some people may disagree with this, but I don't think it's entirely a bad thing. I think gamers being more vocal about what they want will hopefully push companies.
Exactly. Okay, so he did come back around on that. I was like, where is he going with this? No, man, you look at a pile of shit sitting on the side of the street, and you're like, that's a pile of shit. He calls it as he sees it. And back to the previous video where we talked about people are going through things like just so fast and consuming it at alarming rates or whatever. I think a lot of people nowadays can look at something and be like, oh yeah, that's a piece of shit on the side of the street.
To make more innovative
it's a good
products
thing.
And stop investing in the same copy and paste trend chasing game. So yeah, I do think gaming will get better. I truly do. I like my friend's theory. Worst case, though, let's say he was sipping stupid juice when he talked about that. But worst case, we enter an era where 90% of games feel the same. Things like live service clones, safe design, games where monetization is prioritized above all else. And the truly great games would be the rare 10%. That would suck. I hope it's the opposite. And with that, let me know what you thought down below. Let me know if my friend is
great video.
No stupid juice, or let me know if you like the theory. I personally just
whoa. What the hell?
Crazy thing about your life is that
I did not click on that. All right. NightlyHarbor, you get a sub and you get a like. Love the video. Dude only has 468 subs, man. I mean, that is such an awesome discussion and video that this guy did here. Is gaming dying? Is gaming dying, guys? I don't think so. I think we're starting to see something beautiful. I think these big game companies are going to die. I think they're going to crash and burn. And I think that's really why I showed you the two videos with Legendary Drops being first and then NightlyHarbor's point as well following up, because I think it creates this beautiful thing where it's like we can see all these stupid decisions by CEOs being made, I think we can all see where it's heading, right? And with such amazing games coming out and being made nowadays, I mean, really, people can say gaming is getting bad, gaming is dying, but the reality is that people are spending their money on experiences that make sense, right? They're buying Arc Raiders, right, at $30. They're buying Mega Bonk for $10. They're buying Mouse PI for Hire for $30. We're no longer going to pay $70, $80, $90 for things that are just thrown out like you're stupid, like you're just going to buy it and consume it. You know what I mean? I think we're about to see an era of video games that is better than ever, and I, for one, am completely excited to see where things go. Other notable games, by the way, Schedule 1, Retro, what's the name of that game? Retro Rewind, just games like that. I don't know, man. I've been playing some RV There Yet. We've got Peak. There's just so much good stuff, dude. So much good stuff. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed this thought, these set of thoughts and these reactions to these videos. And I will catch you guys on the next video. Moldy Lemon signing out. Have a beautiful day.